Okay, all right, everyone. Let's build the main.py file, which will be used for orchestration. And this is typically you can think of this as the main execution entry. Okay, this is typically where, yeah, I can just say for compliance QA pipeline. And this is typically where we'll be triggering our entire code. Okay. All right, so we'll be bringing all the components that we have defined till now, and from here on, we are going to execute it. Okay, so I'm going to start with importing UUID. I'll start with importing JSON. I will import logging. Okay, and with that, I will also, let's say, import pprint. Okay, so I'll import logging. I'll import pprint. Okay, and I'll import from pprint, which is pretty print, right? So I'll just say from pprint import pretty print. Okay, all right, and then from .env, okay, I will be importing load underscore env. Okay, and then load underscore env, I'll be passing override equals to true. Okay, then from backend, so what we'll do is from backend.src.graph.workflow. Okay, src.graph.workflow. We will be importing app. This is something that we had created in the workflow file, if you can recall. Let us pass the logging as well. Okay, which is level equals to logging.info, right? Yeah, logging.info. And after this, also let's pass the format. I'll just copy paste the format from the previous code here. All right. And okay, after this, what we'll just do is we'll just say we'll just do logging dot get logger. Okay, and we'll log it under the name of brand guardian runner. Okay, this is what we're going to log it under. Then what we'll do is we'll write a simple function which will run the entire simulation from the command line interface. Okay, so what this function will do, okay, if I have to explain you in very simple terms, this function basically simulates the video compliance audit request. This is what it does. Okay, so first and foremost, this function is going to generate the session ID. Okay, you can think of this as the unique ID that it is going to generate for every session. Okay, so I'll just say UUID 4. All right, after this, I'll just put logger.info and I'll just put here starting audit session. Okay, and pass the session ID in here. All right, now what we'll do is we'll define the initial state. Okay, we'll define the initial state. So what are the initial inputs, or what are the initial level inputs that will go? First, the video URL will go, right? This is the initial level input that will go to the agent. Okay, so we'll be taking the YouTube video, the YouTube video link, right? So it will be youtube.be. Okay, and so okay, actually let me do one thing. Let me pass this link later when we'll actually trigger this pipeline. Then we'll pass. Actually, I was going to pass a sample URL, but let's do one thing. Let's not pass a sample URL. Let's directly pass the brand ad video. Okay, and then we're also going to take the video ID. Okay, and in video ID, what we'll do is we'll create the video ID as we'll take the first 8 characters. Okay, we'll take the first 8 characters, up to 8 characters, and then session ID and then vid. Okay, so we'll come there as to how we generate a video ID. Okay, and then I will just create a variable called as, or it takes not a variable, it takes compliance results. Okay, and after compliance results, I think something has gone off here. So video ID, session ID, this is fine. What is going wrong here? I don't know. Okay, this is not equal to, yeah, it is, yeah, okay, all right. It takes the compliance results and also the errors, right? So these can be the initial inputs, okay, which are passed, okay, and basis this, what is going to happen? It is basically going to initialize the workflow, right? So I'll just say initializing workflow, all right, and then we are going to print the input payload, okay, and this input payload is nothing but, I'll just say json.dumps the initial inputs, and we'll just say indent equals to 2, okay. So if you have worked on JSON earlier, you might understand this indent and all of that, okay. So basically whatever input we are getting, we just make sure that this is in JSON format, okay. It puts that in JSON format, okay. I'm just going to write a try block, okay. I'm going to invoke the entire app, which is from the workflow on the initial inputs that are given. And then what we'll do is, this will basically say that the workflow execution is complete, okay. And after this, what we're going to do is we are going to print the compliance audit report. So I'll just write it here, compliance audit report, okay. And we're just going to print the video ID, okay. And I'll just say final state dot get. From the final state, it will take the video ID, okay. And then we'll just take the status as well, or it will not, we will take, it will basically print the status as well, okay. So I'll just say print status, which is what, final state dot get, okay. And then I'll just pass the final status here, okay. All right, once this is done, if there are any violations detected, we need to print it, right? So we'll say print violations are detected, okay. All right, and then we'll just pass results, and in the results we'll just say final state dot get, okay. And what do we get? We're going to get the compliance results, or we're going to extract the compliance results, okay, else nothing. So our results from the final state, we're going to get the compliance results, or it basically gives us an empty string, as simple as that. All right, now, okay, just a minute. All right, now if we take those results, okay, then we'll just apply a for loop. So for issue in results, okay, we are going to print what? We're going to print if we're going to firstly get the severity, okay. See, the thing is, we want to flag it on various terms, right? So we will take the I would say we'll take the severity. After the severity, I'll take the category. See, whatever, when we get the final output, we want to flag it on certain things, right? And on this, what I'll also do is I'll put a colon and I'll say issue.get description. So these are the final parameters that we are going to get, okay. Bear with me for a moment, slowly and steadily. Once we go through the explanation, you will kind of get this in more understanding, okay. So this is the final orchestration, all right. Else, what we're going to do is we will be printing no violations detected. All right, this is what we are going to print, okay. Finally, what we're going to do is we are going to click on exception as E, okay. And all right, what we'll do here is, after no violations are detected, we'll also print the final summary. Obviously, we need to print that, right? So we need to print the final summary, okay. And we'll also say print final state dot get. We'll extract the we'll extract the final report from the final state. Okay. And then accept exception as E. We are going to log the error. Okay. If there is any, okay, so we're going to say that the workflow execution has failed, and then we'll pass and we'll just flag that particular error, whichever error we get, and then we are going to raise the exception. All right. Okay. And then finally, if name, okay, equals to main, okay, then what? Then we're just going to run the CLI simulation. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So this is your main.py code. So we have successfully built the main.py code, which is going to trigger the entire pipeline. And in the next video, let's try to understand in more detail what this main.py file orchestration will do. And then let's trigger the file and let's try to understand the output in detail. Okay, let's proceed.